Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, your home for comic books, movies, TV shows, and typically we do feature a beer of the week. Now, today we have an excellent guest. We are going to be chatting with Austi Basis, the creator, one of the creators of the Kinteix and the Glowing Orb of Gorthon. It's a 200-page graphic novel that you're going to have to get your hands on. It is out now. We are going to talk all about that. But first things first, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, share, follow anywhere you can find podcasts, anywhere on social media. We are there. And let's dive into it. Austin, thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming to hang out. This book, man, like, love just getting to take the time. So before we kind of dive into it, we always like to ask, like, hey, what's your geek origin story? So what got you into the world of nerddom and comic books?
Well, I'll go with nerddom first because I don't know if you have like how you decipher between a nerd, a geek, and a dork.
I think it's self-proclamation.
I guess it's like whatever you decide to be at that point.
Exactly.
Like, did you wear the high-waisted pants and suspenders? That's like your dorks back then, right? Your geeks.
No, not quite. I actually, there's kind of like two trains or a couple trains of geekdom or nerddom in my past. So like my first lunchbox was an Incredible Hulk lunchbox.
Yeah.
The metal tin ones. I grew up in the 80s. So
yes.
Yeah.
I was more of a pop culture kind of geek, and 80s were a perfect time for that.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up on a lot of TV, obviously the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. So that was my first superhero love, Superman. I think every other year for Halloween, I dressed as Dracula and Superman, just
alternating back and forth,
alternating black and red capes, basically.
Look, it's an easy costume. All right. You already got it ready to go. You don't have to rush out or anything.
And I had more hair then, so I could do the curl and everything. And I also watched, like shows like I love watching the Hulk, on TV, and the Bionic Man, $6 million Man, Bionic Woman, and Greatest American Hero. So that was kind of like my pop culture and kind of influence culturally. But I feel like I was always into art. Like art was kind of like one of the things that I helped. The art was one of the things I basically helped me get better grades on book reports because I do
make
the
it look
covers,
all nice.
Totally. And then what led to years later when I would do plays and theater or films, I would design the playbill. So it started with the art, and then I don't know if you guys had like the community college by you.
Of course.
Like Saturday kids classes, right?
Yeah.
So I've always fluctuated between art and sports. So, played Little League and did the school plays. And so in this case, we did a couple rounds, a couple semesters, as you call them, at Kingsborough Community College in Brooklyn, in Manhattan Beach, where Darren Aronofsky is from. And the course I chose to take, or the two courses, were soccer, indoor soccer, and cartooning.
Oh.
So I took 2 sessions of cartooning with a guy named Victor Gorelick, who was he worked for Archie Comics for like over 15 years.
I was like, I know that name because my wife's wicked big into Archie. So I was like, yeah, I knew that name.
So he was like the editor in chief for towards the end, but he started there at like 16 and went, like 50 years. So he taught us basic comic structure and art and story.
Wow.
And so
learning it from someone who worked on Archie. That's awesome.
I know. And my uncle, my dad's brother, was an animator, a cartoonist. Like he did more animation than cartooning, but he also did McGruff commercials. He did. Do you remember the TriStar? Are you guys old enough to remember the TriStar horse?
I know the TriStar horse.
I'm 42. I think I'm old enough. Yeah.
So he drew the wings that come out of the horse.
Oh,
no way!
As coming towards you, and then he also did the animation for the opening of Reading Rainbow. So that's like the biggest.
That's amazing.
Cool.
Can't count how many times I've seen that. Yeah.
I know. So basically, when I was that young, it was like probably 8, 9, before maybe even 10, but it was like 2 years. And I did a couple of those courses. And part of the arc of the class, because I took it twice, was you come up with a superhero, right?
Yeah.
And so I did one that was kind of like Super Dog. And it was like, what are their powers? What are their weakness? You know, what are their, their kind of, it was just all the biographical information. And then you would write a story and do it. I think one of them was called the Hammerhead Smasher. It was a blue man with like a hammer head.
I mean, I dig. It's like Street Sharks, you know. They had like the body, yeah.
So I did those, and then would kind of proceed to do that. You did a kind of bio page, where you did the age, where they're from, all that stuff, and that was really informative and fun to kind of get to do that, and then also read Archie comics, and know that the guy was learning with was a friend of my uncle, legend, but also he was like running the show there. So that was
Archie's still going strong today, man.
Yeah.
So many great crossovers.
Anyone and everyone, like he's like Minor Threats right now.
I know he did Jay and Silent Bob comics not long ago. Yeah, he's fantastic.
Like, this stuff is in your blood. Like you came out ready, just between all the worlds, really across all the worlds, and having that in your blood. So what made you decide to, hey, I want to write some comic books? Like this is something I want to do aside from animation route or things like that.
Well, the origin story of the actual Kinteix is an animated series. So we were trying to pitch an animated series. I was on the Beauty and the Beast, and the CW had an online platform that was, kind of accepting pitches from, actors in the shows, and obviously anyone, but they would definitely see a couple of the actors on the CW shows. Jane the Virgin, a couple of those other shows had shows like web series, or
I do remember do remember this whole thing. That's right.
It's called CW Seed, and so we had pitched a story. My co-writers and I had started doing improv and sketch comedy back in 20 years ago in New York, and we had this sketch that we tried to bring back to life when I was on the show, and we did a spec pilot where it was called Dracula Goes to Camp. This was before What We Do in the Shadows, by the way.
Well, I mean, you were Dracula as a kid for multiple years.
Exactly.
So this seems like a natural transition.
Exactly. But I actually didn't play Dracula. The artist and one of my co-writers, Dave Malbach, played Dracula because the way he did it was just, he did it in a sketch or an improv. And we were like, we have to use that. So it was basically Dracula going to Jewish sleepaway camp as a web series, and we submitted for different like Sundance had an episodic TV program, and so after that was submitted, we were like, what do we do next? And then we came up with started kind of bouncing around this idea of the Kinteix, and it was from an encounter. I have diabetes, so type 1 diabetes, so I did a lot of events with kids that have type 1 diabetes. And when I was working in Canada, there was a kid that I met, and his mom told my wife that he used to tell his friends that he was a cyborg because of his insulin pump and continuous glucose monitor, as opposed to trying to explain diabetes to another 8-year-old. It's just like, I can't have sugar because my body can't use it for energy.
It's clever the way that kids come up with that too, right? And
totally.
It's fun, and like not like fun that you have, but the way that they process it and are able to like describe it to another kid. You're
He's
like,
not wrong. He's got a machine attached to him.
Yeah, but
I know.
like, that's the coolest thing ever. You're a cyborg. Yeah.
I am a cyborg. I have a machine attached to me. See how my blood sugar is right now. That's pretty good. It's a little high. But yeah, so that from that seed of an idea, we started tossing around like, how could this be a story, and is there a team? Are there other kids, and what do they have a disability or chronic illness? And the idea is, my other uncle had worked with a lot of, he was a nurse and he was going for his PhD, and he worked with a lot of people who, had some issues, and his part of his thesis was that when you are kind of something is taken away from you, or that you were born without something, that the rest of your senses and the rest of you kind of almost like expands in ability, like, rises up to the challenge. So
like
people that are blind, right?
I'm not blind.
Exactly. Right.
Exactly.
And so,
Yeah.
right. And so,
still waiting for those superpowers.
Yes, right. I think your other eye is now 2010 vision.
I think hopefully we're there. I can see through walls at most.
Yes, exactly. But that would be that would be how we expand the kind of abilities, and we took it to a little more of a superhero length in and extent in the kinetics. We pitched it as a show. It was a young skewing show. They were in high school at the time, but still kind of tweenage to teenage. We pitched it at a lot of different levels. We were talking to Warner Brothers and DC for a while. And it was like, it seemed like it was on track to like something happening. And at a certain point, there was a suggestion that, we had made the comics, and that's how we got the meeting. We did a Kickstarter. We did 4 origin comics for each character. And so from that, we like the success of that, kind of led us into a meeting, and we pitched the animated series. And I think part of it was maybe a collaboration to do a comic book as would be the pilot. What would be the pilot comic? And then to push it and go from there. And it just pandemic, and it just fizzled out. There was a lot of Warner Brothers and DC went a lot of kind of executive changes and mergers.
Yeah, they keep there's a lot of, even now they're going through it again. And you go from the pandemic into a writer's strike at that, and then now it's the constant mergers that are going on. I get it. It's really hard too at the same time, and it's got to be for you guys like, hey, you have this thing, and then it's like it's out of everyone's hands at that point, and you're just kind of like, dang, like what the heck? But you still found a way to have it out there for people and kids to read at the same time.
Yeah. And part of it, there's such an IP game nowadays with a lot of these stories or these shows, whether it's live action or animated, they want proof in a comic book
there's
or
an audience.
Yes. Right. It's like a testing ground. It's almost like the test audience, and see if there's an audience there to make it worthwhile to do the other stuff. So we've going back and forth. We did a YA version, like a single 20-page comic book. We did a collaboration where we're like, here's how we, overlap it with the DC universe, with all the different,
it's a really cool idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause they, if there's like, they have all these, like if there's a gas lamp, or a gas, like what's it called? Steampunk Batman, if there's a version like that, then there could be a world where disability is a superpower.
They absolutely could. And even using that disability and turning it into something great as a superpower, I think there is absolutely a market for that too. And it's, you say you work with kids and everything. I take that as like, even if you don't, it's a way for kids to kind of understand at the same time these
kids are different
disabilities. Than them, like everyone's different. And that's why I love superheroes, I think, so much, and why they connect with kids, because it talks about those differences and really helps them understand how everybody really is different.
Yeah.
Right. And I love that that's becoming more of a thing today. It's like, my 13-year-old's not dyslexic, but she's like, oh, and Percy Jackson, they can decipher these things because these kids are dyslexic. So I feel like that's an example of giving a disability a superpower, because we all have our strengths and our weaknesses. So I love the highlighting of it. And we're even seeing more characters like Maya in
Stranger
Hawkeye.
Things.
Yeah. No,
Hawkeye. Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like Maya,
I was thinking Maya Hawkeye.
Disabled.
Well, no, she just has like ADHD, and she's like, all that kind of,
she can't stop talking.
Yeah, I do know what you're talking
mouth.
about. Yeah, in Hawkeye, like he was like, they were deaf. Yeah.
So I'm loving that we're seeing more of that.
Yes, and this has been a kind of an 8 to 10 year process for us. And even Dave, the one of my co-writers, and Josh, Dave is actually dyslexic as well, and part of how he learned to read was with comic books, because he could understand the visual, and he's the artist, and
context clues were more there to put it together.
And so
that's awesome.
of taught him how to read in a way. And so it felt like the only natural progression. And he's done a lot of work to kind of adapt the art. And, our story was there, and the mythology had been written over the span of 8 to 10 years, or at that point, 7 or 8 years. And during the pandemic, he like put his head down and did all the art, and we filled in the story where we had plot holes, and we created it and we adapted it for middle grade readers. So it's a middle school kids, not high school anymore. And basically the same story. And then kind of like the second half, or, I guess 2/3 of the book after they discover their superpowers is a whole new story for even people that have read the Origin comics and supported our Kickstarter.
I like that too. Sorry, Lauren, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, do you need to read the origin stories to understand what's going on in this specific issue, or can you just jump in head first?
No, you could jump in head first. The each chapter, so there's a chapter for each kid as themselves, as their kind of alter egos.
Okay, so it's like Game of Thrones. When you're reading it, you're in that perspective of that different person.
Right. So it's like, Jules, Bobby, Rosario, and or Rosa and Daryl have their chapters, and eventually their superheroes have the chapters, the superhero version of themselves. Okay. Right? Where they, in the beginning, they start discovering this stuff and these powers and, these things that are kind of taking, in a Spider-Man kind of way. I know Dave loves Spider-Man. And so ultimately those chapters, with obviously story and stuff, we had more runway to work with now for the graphic novel, and to kind of span it out over a certain amount of pages. We wanted to keep it under 200. And it was you get the origin stories more in depth in those 2 chapters with the kids and their superhero alter egos, with chapters in between that kind of bridge the gap.
Oh, okay. And it's smart too, because you gear it like towards the younger audience. Lauren's got a 13-year-old, I have a 10-year-old. And the thing that I found too by kind of doing that is my son has gotten into reading through comic books. And so I think
my son's obsessed with Dog Man.
Yeah, I mean, it really is smart, because I grew up also reading, Captain Underpants, which is kind of like the first graphic novel I ever really read, but it's smart.
I didn't realize you were that young. You grew up with Captain Underpants?
I know, that's what I thought.
Come on, man. I was born in 90. Like,
Captain Underpants was my dad when I grew up.
I'm in over 35. All right, come on. Hey. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about the kids, man. Speaking of kids, but no, it's great. Have you found that like a lot of people have, feedback being like, hey, this has helped my kids get into reading? Because I know you mentioned the dyslexic aspect and all of that stuff. Is that something that you're getting feedback about?
Well, we just released it, but kind of the kids are reading it in one sitting. That's what we realized, and we're like,
that means it's good.
Yeah, that's also kind of a good book right there.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, we're gonna start on the next one. But yeah, like the response from the original comics, especially, we have a character that's type 1 diabetes that's loosely based on me and a lot of the kids I've met. A character that was born without legs, that is, inspired by a friend of mine, Jen Bricker. And then we, the Rosario story is very like familially based in Dave's world. He's part Puerto Rican. He's you wouldn't tell by the name, but a lot of his influence is New Jersey, East Coast.
Oh yeah.
And so he had a friend who knew sign language, and so we worked with that.
That's really cool.
That friend to kind of be able to translate it visually in images, not video, so that we didn't have to have a character that didn't speak through some, yes, in a comic book, in a graphic novel, you could see their thoughts, which helps. It may be a voiceover in in a series if we do that type of thing. But it could also be literally someone in a thought bubble or a thought balloon, like doing sign language.
Yeah.
Right? Like almost like subtitles, but sign language. So you don't have to read in someone that
And
is
it's still cool to have that representation too, because how many times I'm sure people who do have to rely on sign language, like whether they're deaf, partially deaf, anything of that, like how many times you open a book and you see that kind of representation too at the same time. So I think that's a really cool aspect, a way to incorporate, and it really thinks outside the box. Like, hey, you can see the sign language, but also see their thoughts. I've never really kind of thought that that's something, but it makes a lot of sense. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I was just going to ask, with each of these characters having disabilities / superpowers that you guys identify with, how did that working on the book? Like, were you like, well, I'm going to take this character and do the bulk of his story because I relate to him, or was it a collaborative effort throughout?
It was collaborative effort. Obviously, the technical aspects of diabetes, I took a little more of the reins on.
And made it realistic, other than a lot of the stuff we get like on TV and movies.
Right. Where like there was, it was just the National Diabetes Awareness Month last month. And so, and I work with an organization, Breakthrough T1D, that, raises money for research and raises awareness. So to get like myths, like clarified, because, it's not, type 1 diabetes is not because you eat too much sugar.
Right.
And so there was someone posted, I forget who it was, but I reshared it in my stories of a woman, or in a story happening like that had diabetes, was passing out because her blood sugar was low. And then her friend like draws up insulin, right? And does like a Pulp Fiction.
I was gonna say like the Pulp Fiction, what do you
jab in her arm?
Oh my god!
And like a whole, like you don't know how little insulin it takes to get like blood sugar at a normal level, and she would have killed her. And the woman like wakes up, her friend
fine again. It's like, no, you would have.
Which is like, you need a glucagon shot or sugar or an IV or like something that is not insulin. Insulin will lower your blood sugar. And so like stuff like that, where, like even in Steel Magnolias years ago, do you ever see that? Like Julia Roberts had diabetes, that it's automatically means that you're going to have kidney disease and need a kidney transplant at some point in your life. And that's, if you don't take care of yourself, and women who have babies with diabetes are higher risk.
Gestational diabetes.
Yeah. So you kind of understand the maintenance that it takes 24/7. And but
every meal you eat, you have to watch and monitor. And I wasn't insulin dependent, but it was still annoying to all of a sudden have to watch what I eat. I didn't know bread turned to sugar. I had no clue. I was devastated.
Yeah. There's a like, I would say fruit and candy turn to sugar quick, like juice, same thing, like sugar juice, any soda. Then you have like bread and complex carbohydrates, starches. I'm a huge
pizza fan.
Pizza, potatoes, fries. And then you have like the more complicated things to dose is like pasta, because
I didn't even think about that.
It's a delayed.
Neither did I until then.
Right. So if like you eat pasta, if you do a lot of pasta, if you give the insulin right away or before you eat it, you'll probably go low before it, like the actual pasta is digested. That's why the people have pasta before marathons, because it's a slow release and a slow process for that the sugars to get released. And even alcohol, beer less so, but
I didn't have to worry about that when I was pregnant, so I guess
you weren't pounding beers. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I feel like it probably kept me in shape, because I was like, if I wanted to eat a bunch of pizza, I'm like walking around the room before I checked my blood sugar, an hour after I ate, because they're like, as long as it stays in these parameters, you don't have to be insulin dependent.
Yeah.
But
totally.
I'll never forget the chocolate covered key lime pie I ate in Key West. I'm like, it is 1,000,000 degrees. I am sweating. I'm going to eat this and it's going to be delicious. Because when you're hot, your blood sugar goes down quicker.
Yeah.
So these are things I never knew.
When I was not on an insulin pump, I've been on an insulin pump and for over 20 years, 25 years or at this point, and then CGM for about 10. And so like, I'm pretty much in control, and my actual pump is almost like a closed loop where it gives insulin if my blood sugar goes up without me dosing. So it'll automatically give if I forget to give insulin. But when I was a kid and I was an athlete and I would play baseball or soccer or basketball, I'd be running around and I'd almost like secretly want to get a little low so I could have like a Snickers bar or like, and my dad owned the candy store when I got diabetes, which is like, that's kind of like my life in a nutshell. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what are we doing here? But at the same time, like, I guess there's always blessing and curses, right? It's helped with like education, and you've turned it into something where, working with Breakthrough T1D, like
literally
you're able to give back in a meaningful way. And then you've written this comic book and done a lot of that action. So I know even through like your website or, Instagram, people can go right there, then go to the press release and homepage. You guys have a sale going on right now. Do you want to kind of talk about the different versions of the book they can get, the sales that people can get right now?
Yeah, totally. So this copy right here is the student edition. It's the cheapest one available. They're $14.99 on Amazon exclusive. This is an Amazon exclusive. So $14.99. We can't do a sale on Amazon. They do their own sales.
Yeah, of course.
So $14.99 we had the premium paperback, which is a little thicker paper. So it's this is pretty thin. If you see that, it's a little thicker paper, more of a quality. Like if you order it through like Barnes and Noble, that's available through Amazon as well. But if you order through Barnes and Noble or bookshop.org or even Walmart, these are the same books that you'll get if you order it directly to your home. So those are the two paperback. We call it the student version and the premium paperback edition. And then we have a hardcover that's available everywhere, all the websites, and potentially in like Barnes and Nobles and bookshops. And that is the library edition, because libraries, the way we publish is through Ingram Spark, and on Ingram Spark is where libraries, bookstores, and schools order their books. So it gets put into the Barnes and Noble system, and you bring the ISBN number and you order it, or you search the Kinteix and the Glowing Orb of Gorthon. They could order it right to the store, and you probably won't have to pay shipping. And so that's a benefit. So that's the library edition. And then we have a collector's item that's another Amazon exclusive that is, again, another hardcover, shiny, kind of little less matte finish, like a shiny cover, thicker, poundage paper. And it's, the colors are just, they pop a little more. And it's one of those, like, people really like graphic novels, and kids that want it to last a long time, or the parents that want their kids to have it a long time or have it for their next child.
Or even a kid that's rough on books.
Yes, exactly.
Leaves them in the back seat, gets stepped on, but they still want to read it again.
Yeah.
Do you have experience with that?
A little bit.
No, not at all.
I know Dogman is a popular one. So
There's
actually,
Dogman in my back seat right now.
Same.
Yeah. Did you get the new one?
I don't even know which ones we have.
I have no idea.
Well, whatever my comic book shop has, I always buy, and then he gets them from the library too. So I never know what he's got or what he's reading at the time.
Yeah, I haven't paid attention to the order when I get them from my son at all.
Reading.
That's all. I even actually just ordered the book right now, like the student version, so I can let my son, like, we can read it together and talk about it.
Yeah, what's the youngest age you think is acceptable for somebody to read it? So if they're shy, especially because right now it's Christmas time, you want to get your kid a present. What would be a good age range?
Totally. And we do have a Christmas sale until December 7th. I don't know if it's going to be, the podcast is going to be out before then. But so before December 7th, it's actually $14.99 for the premium paperback. Actually, no, $15.99. Let me get this right. And then the premium, the library hardcover, not the collector's item, but the library hardcover is these two are available everywhere. It's through Ingram. You could order through Ingram on our site or through our social medias. It's $24.99 for that. Because that's usually $29.99 for a 200-page hardcover copy. And so, yes, So going to if the kid is younger than if this kid is 7 and a good reader, this I think they could read it with the parent. I feel like 8 through 12 is a solid range.
Ideal age range. Gotcha.
Yeah. So like, basically 3rd grade through 6th or 7th, so I was
range.
I was 7 in 2nd grade. So I turned 8 in 8th grade. So in
3rd grade.
I turned 8 in 3rd grade.
My 8-year-old in 3rd grade. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
They called me Doogie Hauser, MD.
I was called that in law school. I was called Doogie. Well, I looked younger than I was, and so everybody just called me Doogie.
Yeah, I did too. I don't want to tell you the nicknames I was called.
I've been called some. I
was going to say about to say dipshit Derek, but we're not talking Stranger Things.
We are not. Lauren, though, I know you had some questions here before we did wrap up. And aside from being an esteemed writer, you've also done a lot of really good acting on some of our favorite shows like Marvelous Miss Maisel, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and of course, Supernatural.
Enthusiasm, that's a huge one.
Yes,
That's just Larry David. But yeah, Supernatural. So we have a lot of listeners that are Supernatural fans. I forced Matt
Supernatural panels
to get into it. We've done 2 Supernatural panels at MegaCon. We have applied to do a 3rd one this year, so hopefully we get to do our 3rd one. We've been documenting Matt's journey on the road so far. We are up to season 13 with that. And we've gotten to interview a couple people who have been involved in the show. 6 months ago, we had Jeremy Adams on, who wrote Scooby Natural and a couple other episodes. Also, that Aquaman run from DC is still fantastic.
Read it.
I haven't read the most recent one, so don't.
It's fight month, so we might fight.
So, because it's all the DC. Okay,
it's DC fight month, anyways.
Right. But you are a Ghostfacer, so you got to appear on the 2nd time we saw the Ghostfacers show up. You are a lot of times behind camera on there. Spruce, for anybody who doesn't remember, you also got to do the webisode series, which Castiel even appeared on. And I've seen that clip in so many things where they go, Jesus Christ, no, I'm Castiel. It's become, a hilarious outtake in all the Supernatural videos that people put together. So tell us a little bit about how you got involved in Supernatural and became part of that Supernatural family.
It was just, usual audition that my agent sends me an audition. And the interesting story with this one is, so we all went in for the audition, and in those days you would go in person and oftentimes tape with the casting director. And we taped at basically the CW. He had an office there for Supernatural. We taped it, all was good. And then either that day or the next day you get a call, whether you're in, the running or you're, they pin you or you're in consideration. And because you have to travel up to Vancouver. And so there's immigration and work paper stuff that they need to do.
Oh, yeah.
So that's always fun. And it's a quick turnaround, ironically, because a lot of times it's like 2 days and they get you the people who do that behind the scenes are amazing.
And they do fast. It's insane.
Work miracles. Maybe not these days, but in those days it was miracle work. So we taped all of our auditions, and then we got called that there was something wrong with the tapes, that something got screwed up, and we had to come back. And I think they only called the people that were in consideration. And so me and Brittany Ishibashi were in. It was like right down the street from where I lived, and I literally crossed the street, got out of my apartment, crossed the street, and I was at the casting office.
That's
and we
crazy.
taped again. And then I was talking with Brittany Ishibashi in Starbucks afterwards and say, yeah, this is crazy. It's like, I never had this happen. It's like the tape got screwed up and blah, blah, blah,
Which happened in that episode.
Yes. Right. And it's weird being taped for an audition where you're the guy taping everything.
Right.
It was like me holding my hand like this, or like my flip phone at the time, or my BlackBerry like this, right? As if it's a camera and they're actually filming me. So turns out we both got cast, and we were definitely fast friends because we were the newbies, right?
Yeah.
Brittany and me, and then AJ and Travis had been on Hellhounds already. They were the Hellhounds. And so this was their second episode, our first. And then Corbett
Rest in peace.
Yes, Corbett. Yes. You know, the gay dead intern.
Right. Pierced through the veil. Yeah.
Yes, of death. Yeah. So so we got cast, and we did all the things, and we went up there, and we get sat down, and they're like, "Yeah, this is the first episode after the other writer strike, right?" In
Oh, yeah,
gosh,
yeah. One that killed
season
Heroes.
3.
right? 2007, I believe.
Yeah.
And so I was doing a film when the writer strike happened, and then the first audition that I booked afterwards was Supernatural, and they were like, yeah, all the camera crew was coming back, but they didn't have to work because we filmed the episode.
Oh, that was going to be one of my questions, if you're
Oh.
actually filming when you're holding the camera
Yeah.
or not. So that was actual footage, some of which you filmed.
Yes. So
Oh, that's cool.
we got Sony HD mini cams, and they created 360 sets where there was no fourth wall removed. So everything was closed doors and enclosed, which is not usually the case. There's usually one wall open,
Right.
Where all the cameras and lights presumably go. And then they had all the tech. So the mini cams were like a new technology at that time. They had, before GoPro, they had rigged cameras to be like facing, Corbett when he, that type of thing. And the only time the camera operator, the DP, was obviously giving us instruction as we went, like, whip to that, whip to this. And then when they had to do a special effect, they brought in like the really high def, kind of quality camera and lens, and they had the A camera operator, B camera operator come in and do it almost similar to the way we did it, except do it with enough steadiness that the effect would work. Because I think
right.
in those days you couldn't really move the camera too much when you had an apparition appear or do like a visual effect.
Yeah, it's before all the technology that obviously we have now through CGI and everything else advances, right?
Right.
Totally.
So we actually already talked about like webisodes on CW. So how did that come about? Was it just because it was popular at that time?
I think so. The episode was written by Ben Edlund. After that, Phil Screechia, who is
he does the boys and everything now.
Yeah, he does the boys, and he kind of moved with Kripke was there still at that point at Supernatural, and so they all kind of endorsed it, and we would do these webisodes, like just web videos, just to like kind of keep the story going with the hope that we'd get picked up or do a web series. And we would do it at Phil's house in his garage, which
oh my gosh, that's so funny.
It's crazy.
Looked a lot like the garage that we did in Vancouver. And so basically the problem with beer is you have to burp throughout the whole.
Yeah, no.
Somebody asked us how we handle that one time on our, and I'm like, we have mute buttons.
I know. But it's happening while I'm talking.
You're not the only guest that has brought that up.
It happens to all of us.
At least it's it's Hops, Geek, and Burp news.
That's
yes,
it's the Hops for sure.
Hops, Geek, Burp news. So we basically were doing these for free and fun, and then Phil, because he was working on the show and he's based in LA, and we'd go to his house and do it. He'd bring in our wardrobe that we got from Vancouver and kept, and all the props. We would set up the whiteboard, everything that was in the Coven poster that we had up there. And so we did all this stuff. And what was fun about it, I think, was the basis for like potential web series, is that they had a baseline script, but they Phil and Ben and everyone was just like, you want to make it as real as possible. This is a slightly different version of Supernatural, so you want to make it feel like people are ad-libbing and it's spontaneous, and there's high def cameras. They shot on film at that point. I think Supernatural was shot is beautifully shot, but on film, and so they have this like video version of this episode that's a pilot for another show. And I was like, why not spin it off? But yeah, it was, we ad-libbed. And then after like a couple days, Phil had a dinner with us. I remember because when I lived in Vancouver, I went to that place a lot. It was Earl's, this place Earl's in Vancouver. Great clam chowder. And so we had this dinner, and basically he was like, here are some questions. We're going to do confessional interviews. We have more time. We've been getting everything early. The days aren't running over. We're doing early days, and basically like go and we'll do your interviews separately. We'll be shooting, and then you'll go off with a camera crew and do your interview. There'll be no one behind camera, but you can look at the question and then answer the question on the camera like you're talking to, the person asking, the producer or whatever.
Right,
and
it's
so
like real world.
So we made up all the answers, to most of those interviews. Some of it was scripted, and then we went off script. So like it was always 1/16 Cherokee for Kenneth Warren Spruce. It was always Kenny Spruce, but I added the Warren, and and also I added the 15/16 Jew because I thought it'd be funny to combine, Native American and Jewish.
Especially when your
heritage.
characters introduced getting golf balls hit at you in the
that was my idea too. I was like, I feel like Spruce would be the guy that rides in the cart that cleans up golf balls.
Oh yeah,
At a driving range, and Phil was like, yes. He's like, he thought it was so funny, and he's like, see if we can get it. See if we can get that location, and we got it. And I just kept driving back and forth, and like the camera guys were just pegging me with golf balls right off camera, so it seemed like I was getting hit a lot. But yeah, that was a fun experience, and also empowering because we were like, it felt like the episode was ours,
Right.
Yeah,
they let
there
you
was a
have
lot of,
some
like,
creative
freedom with
control.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, must
Yeah,
have
that's
been
really
weird
cool.
for Jensen and Jared.
I feel like they've done so many off the wall episodes throughout that series. Like, are you a fan of the show? Have you actually watched like the whole show?
Yeah, I've watched it a lot. We watched when we got there the Hellhounds episode.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to audition for the pilot when it came out because that was the first year I was in LA. But I thought the Jensen character was more like the Corey Feldman character in Lost Boys. I got that vibe. I don't know if it was in the breakdown, but I was like, I could play that character. I could, the glasses and kind of get that Corey Feldman vibe.
Yeah.
But they cast really good looking guys, and I was like, I didn't have a chance.
Jensen comes on screen, like, oh.
Right.
Well, I always felt like they should have kept the Ghostfacers around like they kept Garth around. Like, you guys were hunters. You knew ghosts. You knew what to do.
Agree.
They just, when they first met, you had the original Ghostfacers or Hellhounds were all ego. And they're like, oh, we're trying to do this. So it's like they just dismissed them right away. Whereas like they were assets. You could have utilized them. And especially watching the web series, like you see that they do know their stuff and they solve the case and they make that, theater safe or whatever. But
yeah, Travis and AJ and Chris Valenciano and Patrick Duty, they collaborated on the web series and were able to kind of bring that to life and kind of get the story and the actors behind it. And I think my take on the Ghostfacers initially and always has been their all ambition, no skill, ambition, all equipment, no skill. But they wind up finding ghosts. Like they do,
and they get it done.
Good bait, and they're good. They stumble into it, right? And so, whereas a lot of these at the time, Ghost Hunters and all these other shows that were like actual ghost hunting shows on TV, they never really found ghosts. Maybe they'd hear a sound, or they'd get like some
it's a door creaking
heat signal right from behind the door and open the door and nothing's there. And so
because of the heater was behind the door.
Right. It was a show that was edited together, but we're the idiots that have no skill, and we are doing this very seriously, very ambitious, want to be famous and go out to LA and do a show like that, and we just get caught up in bad situations and ghosts come at us.
I love it.
At least you got the nice nod, the Ghostfacers in the fan fiction episode.
Oh,
Yeah,
That was great.
yeah.
And then you see Jared, or probably Jensen or Dean, like, ugh, what?
Yeah.
Ghostfacers?
There is a comic book, like, I'm going to tilt my screen up a little. So, like, right over my head,
Oh, yeah.
there, there was when we went to Comic-Con, one of the writer's assistants or PAs of the show created and drew this comic book.
That's dope.
Well, that's Beauty and the Beast, but there was a I think higher is Ghostfacers. Oh, there it is. Right up there. Oh, sorry. Right up there.
It's always hard when you're pointing.
Right?
It's always the
like,
opposite.
trying to figure out,
Okay.
like, where is it?
Or is there. Right. So
There you go.
so what's funny about that, because it was in a Supernatural comic and we like bust into it, like, and so they the comic had Spruce as a monkey. So the Spruce was depicted as monkey, and like
Right.
Ed and Harry were these big burly like muscle men, kind of like how Jensen and Jared like are like, or
Or
Sam
even on
and
the
Dean.
cover of the fake Supernatural
Yes,
novels. Yeah.
right. So like like it's almost like a romance novel. So they
Yeah.
had, it's almost like they had right over like the art, and so they said draw us as muscular as possible, and then
Make you a
Brittany's character was anime, like it was like manga,
Right.
like she was drawn in that style, and then I was just like a little chimpanzee at the controls, like beep bleep bleeping or something.
I feel like I need to. I'm reading the current new series. It's only 2 issues in with Greg
Oh,
Pak.
yeah,
I
I
haven't
have
read
it.
any of the old ones. I know there's random ones out there.
There is.
Oh, that was part of a series, I think. I forget what it's called, because I only have the page I was on.
The monkey page.
I don't blame
That's
you.
amazing.
So, but as we do kind of wrap up,
Yeah.
do you have any upcoming upcoming projects, things like that
Or
you're hoping people
conventions.
check out, conventions, anything of that nature?
Well, we're all like, this is a self-published book, and we're left to do the kind of the word of mouth and marketing and the signings and all that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we've each been going around to the bookstores and comic shops in our areas to
That's cool.
try to kind of put the book in there, and also to do any type of signing or event there. So if you follow us on kineticsbooks.com and our social media pages, there's Kinetics_books and then _Kinetics, both on Instagram. We also have a couple of Facebook pages as well. But yeah, we'll put updates on there. I, as an actor, there's a film coming out called Mimics in February that will be in I think about 400 theaters nationwide. So it's a horror, kind of classic 80s style horror film.
Just a classic in 80s style like that
Well,
you were in.
Is this a remake? Wasn't there a movie? There was is this a remake, or is it like a completely different?
It's an original story. It was called Mimic, that one.
That's what it was. That's right. That's what it was.
Plural. And it kind of all centers around the ventriloquist that is trying to make it in Reno, Nevada, where the writers were born. So they use their hometown. My friend Chris Palaha from Life Unexpected and Hallmark and Hallmark
really
fame.
Speaking Matt's language.
Listen, you're talking my language. It's that time of year. I'm alive.
They have podcasts about all those holiday shows.
Our website that we write for, man, I do all of the Hallmark Christmas. I'm always doing all.
I'm
of
like 4 already this year.
He was just on the Opryland. There's one, the Grand Old.
Oh,
Opry.
I know that one. Yeah.
So Chris is the romantic lead of that
It's
one,
also
and
Catnip Christmas, no big deal.
So yeah, he directed. It's his first feature, and he co-wrote it with his friend.
That's awesome. Dang. Well, now I have to check. That's going to the top of the list now because they released a few more. I'm not going to bore you guys with my Hallmark love, all right? Just know.
I've tried. I can't get into them.
I'm thriving right now. It's my
different
time
demo.
Of year.
Different demo.
Talking to the wrong people here, but I did find the movie as well. I am going to be pretty much in like the description of this episode. Anybody, if you're like, I can't even remember what he's talking about. Well, guess what? I got good news for you because I'm putting the movie in there. I'm putting the Breakthrough T1D where you can go ahead in there. You can donate if you want as well. There's the book links, everything. I bought the book. It's going to be coming Saturday. So as soon as I get it, I'll make sure to tag you guys as well. And I can't say enough. Like, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Probably could have talked for hours and
answering
bored
my
you for hours.
questions.
And yeah, like when this movie does come out, hopefully it's a theater near me. I live near Richmond, so we don't tend to get the good stuff. But
I bet I do in Orlando.
I bet there's going to be one in Virginia. You said
I'm down near Richmond, so hopefully there is one. I'm sure there is. And
you guys said you went to a DC con recently, right?
Yeah. So I usually go like Awesome Con but the Mega Con Orlando is like the big one because she lives right there. So that's in March typically. And
it's in Orlando.
We'll be there for that one pretty much each year. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the production company's pretty sure it's based out of Tennessee. So
right there. Perfect.
There will be plenty of theaters in that, southeast and
listen, I better see
area.
MC Tony on my big screen TV
That's
first
right.
and foremost. All right. And
right.
When we do, we can get back and kind of talk about it. So really wanted to say thank you again for taking time and really also just bringing some good out into the world right now through this comic book. It's really unique and I implore people to check it out, buy it for a Christmas gift, yourself, your kids, no matter what it is. And Lauren, do you have any final thoughts? You're muted.
She's muted.
Sign language thought bubble. Oh no.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm definitely going to grab this for my son. And thank you for indulging me with supernatural questions. I know I can be over the top with them often, but yeah, it was great talking to you. Great meeting you. And yeah, tag us in anything that you would like shared. And hopefully we get to meet you at a con one day.
Yeah. Of course. And I'll obviously share this with my friends and followers and colleagues and stuff like that. So thank you for having me and for bringing some notoriety and attention to our graphic novel.
Hey, word of mouth does the best, and especially when it's comic books, right? You never know when you're going to find your next favorite comic book. It doesn't always have to be DC, Marvel. I mean, it could be indie comic books, and that's where really the stories thrive the most. So thank you guys for,
stories are there.
It's a long journey. You mentioned 7-8 years and you guys stuck with it. So thank you for doing the hard work.
Yeah.
And we will talk to everybody else again soon. Next week is actually, we just had when this aired, we just had our variety show. Lauren, I have no idea what's next week. People figure it out.
Santa Claus 2.
That's right. So we will talk to you guys soon. Buckle in for Santa Claus 2. I'll be
got a lot of Christmas stuff coming up.
I'm going to be on a nice
Stranger Things.
We just actually recorded that right before we got on with you.
Look at that.
That's already out too. So people can listen to that and we'll be ready for the Christmas, release of the next 2 episodes. Be sure to check it all out and we'll catch you guys later. Peace.